Hello, industrial professional. Here is a quick update of an event that you need to put on your calendar. If you're in the medical industry, if you're in the device industry, the medical device industry, and you love Boston, this is for you. This is an event for you. This is September 30th through October 1st of this year, 2025, and it's the MEDivice, Boston's MEDivice event. I have all the contact information out on Industrial Talk. If you're in manufacturing, this is the event for you. It's put on by those wonderful people at Informa, and I've participated in a number of Informa events, and they do a great job. Remember, it's all about education, right there, Boston MEDivice. 2, collaboration, right there. Make it happen, Captain. And innovation. It's all at this particular event, Boston MEDivice, brought to you by those wonderful people at Informa. That's September 30th through October 1st. Be there or be square.
Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott MacKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, once again, welcome to Industrial Talk. Thank you very much for joining the number one industry-related podcast in the universe that celebrates industry professionals all around the world. You're bold, brave, you dare greatly. You innovate, you collaborate, you solve problems each and every day. That's why we celebrate you on Industrial Talk. We are on site right now. It is Xcelerate 2025. Austin, Texas is the location. And it is brought to you by those wonderful people at Fluke Reliability. The way you're going to find Fluke Reliability, you go on you Google it, you type in Fluke Reliability, boom, you can't help but find incredible help from those wonderful people. All right, in the hot seat, Lisa. She's with Fluke, right? You're with Fluke.
I am. I'm with Fluke Reliability Systems with the Azima brand.
With the Azima brand, that's right. Mm-hmm. Let's get cracking.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah. Having a good conference? User conference?
I am.
It's not just any conference, it's a user conference.
It's a user conference. I've met a lot of very happy customers here. So we're looking at different solutions to be able to help further their experience.
Why are they happy?
Happy for a number of reasons. One, we keep improving our software with eMate, and then we're offering different solutions to help them really just increase performance and return on investment, when they go back.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
It's always a good thing.
All right. Give us a little background on who you are.
Sure. Yeah, I've been in the maintenance, reliability, and operations for over 20 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been with Fluke now.
Well, you were a unicorn back then.
I was. There was very few females. Yeah. I don't even say how many years over 20 it's been, but yeah, very few females at that point.
Yeah.
But it's always been interesting to me, right? Making sure that we can help improve everyone's life really in the manufacturing world. So it's been interesting. It's definitely been
seen a lot of changes.
Have seen a lot of changes, but in a definite good way. I mean, now with AI coming in, looking at augmented reality, virtual reality, it's taken a leap here in the last few years. It's
Why do we still have the same conversations around reliability? How come? It's the same stuff.
It is the same stuff. It's really
year in, year out.
Year in, year out. And the fact that some people or some companies are just now getting on the bandwagon of wireless. Yeah, it blows my mind too. And that's, I work for the Azima brand. I've been doing that now for a little less than 2 years now.
Yeah.
And, I'll talk to companies that, we're just now getting into reliability. So I'll ask them about the reliability journey. Yeah, we're just starting that.
Yeah, I try to pop in Azima and say, hey, guess what you could do when they're not even doing the typical blocking and tackling of reliability.
Exactly. And so that's really where I start the conversation is where are you in your reliability journey? So if they talk about, we've done the building blocks, we've done a criticality analysis, we've looked at what makes the most sense, then you can talk at a higher level, right, or the next step. But if they haven't really done those steps, then I gear back. But there's solutions we can offer there as well, but really to help them start I guess, crawling before they walk, if you will, or walking before they fly. So there's things that we can help them with as well, more from a consulting standpoint.
Yeah, the market is rich with opportunity from that perspective. There's just it always fascinates me when I know that are solutions specific to your operation, whatever the operation is, whatever the industrial operation is, and you can be better, stronger, faster, more profitable, all of that stuff. And it always fascinates me when they're still reactive, thinking about it. They tried it one time, it fell through. We got this piece of equipment here, this tool.
Right.
Well,
I just had the conversation at lunch that, hey, I gave them the tools, I showed them how to use it. I don't know why they're in a drawer.
See?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, you got to learn it. Learn that they need more training, or listen to them to see what else they need.
Yeah.
And it's not a one-time. Hey, here it is. Right. It's repetitive, and making sure that you talk where they are. Right. You listen to where they are and what they need. And so there's a lot comes with sort of standardization, automation in the workforce. So if you want to retain your associates or employees, nowadays you have to provide more than, hey, I pay you.
Yeah, much more.
Much more.
It would seem to me, and we'll get into the conversation around Azima, but it would seem to me if I was an owner of a company that has an operation that is industrial, and I'm having a hard time attracting people or having that tribal knowledge constantly going out, it would seem to me that the solution would be a more stringent technology,
driven.
Solution base, so that I can weather that storm a little bit.
Right. And that's what we offer, with the Azima solution, is more than automation. So it really takes a very small lift from any company, but they're looking at that upfront cost, and it depends on their management, right? What are their goals? Are they looking at the short-term EBITDA, right? Are they looking at that really short-term, what is it going to cost me versus what's the long-term return?
Yeah.
And so you have to get that right management's backing or mindset.
Yeah.
And every company changes management styles.
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years. So, what might have been important yesterday may not be important tomorrow. So get them in the cycle of when that is important. And they look at the cost-benefit analysis. And if it makes sense for them now and 6 months from now, then they might do it, right?
Yeah.
But that constant change may keep them in, hey, we haven't started anything.
This was always a challenging conversation. So I'm an inefficient company, right? Let's say I am. And I go down the road, and I'm very earnest about my desire to be more reliability focused. So I go and I do the things that are right. The amount of improvements that I can see or realize in my organization are pretty big in the beginning because I'm inefficient. But then over time, those captured become smaller and smaller, which then begs those questions of like, why do I need to do that now? It's just a cost now because I don't see the benefits.
Right.
Isn't that odd?
It is. It's those incremental changes then that make the big difference, right?
Yeah.
But again, if you're right, if you're like in the 90th percentile reliability journey, what else can you do?
Yeah, where are you extracting greater value or whatever?
Right. And so that is difficult to see. But right now, there's so many people not doing anything that we're not seeing that.
Again,
I wish I had that problem, right?
Yeah, again, back to that conversation, like we have this conversation year in and year out. All right, take us through Azima. Where do we stand with Azima? What is Azima? Where do we stand with it?
So Azima solution, so Azima DLI has been around since the 60s. Started out with the Navy, really doing analysis on ships, right?
See if they do it. Why don't you?
Well, exactly. I wish it were that easy, but so kind of take all of that knowledge, all of that coming from the 60s. So you're looking at over 5 decades worth of data, right? So we've got the biggest data lake out there. I mean, we can provide the most actionable insights when you look at the analysis and really looking at what do I do if my machine does this, if my equipment does this. So we have several different kinds of solutions. Probably the biggest one is our wireless solution, which requires little lift from an employer or a company. Put wireless vibration temperature monitoring on your equipment. You catch any sort of problem higher on the P to F curve. So instead of catching it when you...
Absolutely. She threw out PF curve. Just FYI.
Yeah. So if you catch it, early the PDF curve, right? You may have 3-4 months to do something about it, right? And which makes sense. But if you catch it really far in, where you can actually see the machine vibrating or the equipment vibrating, you're really close to having a catastrophic failure, and that may or may not make a difference to you, right? You might have a redundant piece of equipment motor you can just bring right in, but if you don't, if that's a critical piece of equipment for you, it might take 3 months, it might take 6 months, depending on where you're getting.
Oh yeah.
If you wait, the whole machine could go down. It might cost you millions of dollars in time and equipment, in parts to fix. Just depends on what you consider critical in your, again, back to the criticality analysis.
When you start talking about criticality, asset criticality, there are people that apply asset criticality to whatever that evaluation is versus maybe somebody that does it correct. Like the air conditioner in the president's office is not high. It's important, but it's not...
It's not critical.
That's exactly right. And I find that's baseline.
Yeah.
To know exactly how to direct your resources.
Right. And so we have... So the wireless is one of our bigger solutions. We have wired solutions as well.
And these are devices out on the assets.
They
when
are.
You say wireless, wired.
Yeah, they're on the assets, and it depends. Every solution is unique to that customer in the way it's configured, right? So the parts themselves are not unique, but the way it's configured is unique to every single customer. So that's why when we talk to somebody, we really have to understand what they have, so it's not just sitting on the price list and going on, right? It's not like buying sensors off of Amazon and figuring you've got it worked out. So
if you can you?
I think you can still buy a couple hand raisers on Amazon. Yeah. So we've talked to people like, hey, I've got these covered, and you're like, but do you?
Yeah, really.
Do you?
Yeah.
So kind of the difference there would be actionable insights like, hey, you need to go fix this, like you need to go change this bearing versus, hey, we see a problem, right, with a hand raiser.
Yeah.
You go out and spend 8 hours to figure out what that problem is, take everything apart to figure out that it's just a bearing, or, hey, there's a bearing, bearing XYZ, take a bearing out and go fix that.
Yeah.
It spends 45 minutes. It depends on how valuable your maintenance staff's time is, also how valuable having that machine down for all day or 2 days or 3 days. What does that take out of your production if you don't have a backup, if it's not redundant?
It's not difficult to get to it. You can say, shut it down, this line doesn't work, this is normally generating X amount of millions a day.
Right.
It's
easy to get to that number.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to get to it.
Quantify it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can quantify it. So it's not a hard thing to say to be able to justify it or not. Maybe it costs $20 if you take everything down, right? So don't buy a system. It's easily to look at it and say this provides no benefit, but it's very easy to see how much it will benefit if you put a solution in, right? The third solution would also be a walk around, like a route collection.
Right.
So again, it depends on the criticality of the assets and also the speed of the assets. So if they're variable speed, would be more of if they're outside of 30% of nominal, that would be more for a wired solution, right? If they're consistent or 30% within nominal, you can use the wired solution. But if you just want to do a walk around, we have that solution as well.
Yeah, you got you covered.
We have everything covered. Yeah.
The use case is, and I'm going to simplify it. You can add to it, put a little meat on the bones. I've got a device. It's out on an asset. It's measuring my vibration. That is a wireless. Let's say it's a wireless solution, but I'm still sending that data. How frequently do I send that data?
So
vibration data. We're taping because Azima's vibration centric.
Right, vibration temperature. So that.
Oh, it is temperature too.
It is temperature too. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the wireless sensors take an overall. No, I'm sorry. Take an overall once an hour.
Once an hour, got it. Okay.
And then they also take another. I can't think of the word right now.
Don't ask me.
Yeah, that's all right. They take another reading once a day, and so that information all goes in every hour, every day, and that's what the wireless does. Then the wired takes it every second. So again, how critical is your asset? Right? If it goes down, is it going to be millions and millions and millions of dollars,
right.
or is it, and or is it variable speed, right? So it depends. There's a couple different things that go into that. So it depends on what solution you want.
I get the data. It goes into, so I'm sure it goes into some sort of data lake. Where does that data lake reside?
Yeah, in the cloud.
It does.
Yeah,
It's a cloud solution.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a cloud solution. And then so there's two things that happen. One, we've got an amazing algorithm that's based on all of that information, right?
Yeah.
Trillions of data points. It is backed up, obviously, by AI. AI is the word, but it means a lot in this case.
Yeah.
So it's backed up by AI and ML. Everything gets reviewed by that. Then if it's a serious or severe alarm, then we also have dozens of analysts that will look at that information and let you know whether it is a true issue or not. And so they then send a recommendation to you either by email or on your portal or a combination of everything.
But my motor is located in the north, and then I have another motor that's located in the south, and the environment of these particular assets are different. How does Azima sort of reconcile that?
Well, obviously it is an online portal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really. You could have assets across the world. We have analysts across the world, so we cover every single time zone.
Oh, kidding, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's people waiting for this information 24/7.
But if I ping it, let's say I'm reading it, it goes into that, and it goes into the algorithm, and it looks at all the back 50 years of data, whatever it might be. Do you take in consideration that maybe this is a GE versus a Siemens, a different? No.
No, it doesn't. Company, obviously every customer matters, right? So We're not looking at more important customers versus less important customers. But let's say that there's a problem and we know it's going to happen tomorrow. First of all, we're there to catch the fault early. So you're going to have months, not days, to make it change, right? If we're seeing that it's so bad, that might be when the program first starts, right? That we're going to see those types of problems. But once the issue, or once we're running for several months, you shouldn't see those problems that need immediate action, right? So if it's immediate action, somebody's going to call you. Somebody's going to get on the phone and call you and make sure that you know about that right this second. But initially, that would be initially. After so long, you're not going to see things that need to be changed tomorrow.
So you're saying that I'm Acme company. I've got the solution, and I'm pulling off the temperature and vibration, and the Azima will say, "Whoa, hey, we've got notified here. There's something going on here, or whatever it might be." Does Azima make recommendations that it's
we can tell you exactly what it is. Yeah, we can tell you that it's bearing low wear, right? We can tell you that it is belt tightness. We can tell you exactly there's actually 1,200 faults based on 6,000 rules, diagnostic rules. So yeah, we can tell you exactly what's going on to a very high degree of certainty, right? So and we're telling you far enough out that you can actually make a good decision or a good estimation of what you're going to do.
Fluke Reliability is into the world of connected reliability.
Correct.
Where do we stand with Azima on fulfilling that, vision of connected reliability, primarily email back into email,
right. So we're within sight of being able to, when that happens, of creating a work order for to correct that PM.
No kidding.
To correct that action. Yeah.
Because that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. So it looks like that's within months that's going to be happening.
Yeah, because here's the view of the perfect world that I want to live in.
Mm-hmm.
So I have all these assets. They're all being tracked in some way, shape, or form. And I have some sort of an algorithm AI solution. And then there's a fault of some sort. It hasn't failed yet, but it's getting ready. It's saying it's progressing down the wrong road. And then be able to create a work order, tell me what tools, give me the design specs, I have everything, and then it notifies me right off the bat. I get in my truck, and then I take my tool bag, and I go there, and I have everything that I need.
Exactly. Instead of going out on a fishing expedition to figure out what's going on.
Cannibalize something out of the warehouse.
Exactly. Yeah, we can use this part. I'll make sure I write it down later.
Never happens.
And you wonder why, when you do inventory, well, there should have been 6 of these, but there's 6 of these, but there's only 5 of these that correspond to the 6. What happened to that other one?
Yeah. Which is, again, a conversation that happens
every day,
all the time.
It does.
So put your future hat on. Where do we see, what gets you excited in the future? You did say AI.
Yeah,
but,
it does, AI, but, I think it's...
AR.
Augmented reality, right? I mean...
Have you ever worn some of those glasses?
I have, and I've actually seen them in use
cool.
also for maintenance, right?
Yeah.
For new procedure, SOPs and things like that. It walks you through doing all the maintenance repairs. It's incredible, right?
It really is.
I mean, I obviously we're going to get there. Obviously, and it is. It's not next year. It's probably this year that it's going to become more mainstream.
Well, I know Boeing uses an augmented solution for their wiring.
Yeah, isn't that? I mean,
yeah,
it's incredible. So I'm excited about the future. Not just. My main goal is to be able to help people.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it.
Well, you're in an organization that does a great job at helping people.
Thank you.
They really are. How do people get a hold of you?
You can find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, see, there it is. We worked on that one.
Yeah.
Prior to the conversation, I just said, just to say you're working on LinkedIn. She did it. A+.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, it was great. I really enjoyed the conversation. All right, we're going to have all the contact information for Lisa out on Industrial Talk. Just go to industrialtalk.com. Reach out. You just need to start building that portfolio of trusted Sherpas that can help you along on your reliability journey. That, Lisa, is part of that one, and I'm sure said, you want to talk to them? You want to talk to them?
Yeah.
Whoever that they are?
Yeah.
You're not going to blow them off.
No,
you're not going to
not of course. Of course, please feel free to reach out anytime. I'll be happy to help anyone that asks a question.
All right, we're going to wrap it up on this side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
You need to connect with Lisa. Azima is the product. Fluke Reliability is the company. Xcelerate 2025, the event. Yet, you missed out this year. You need to put it on next year. You need to be at Xcelerate 2025. Get to meet great people like Lisa. Talking solutions. Talking about how to make you a success. I like that. That was a wonderful event. Absolutely wonderful event. A couple of things of business. One, have a book coming out. Yep, it is an ebook. It is specifically wrapped around the knowledge that I've gained from all the 3,000 conversations I've done in industry. Be on the lookout for that. Of course, it's going to be snippets and all that fun stuff. So that's pretty cool. Great insights provided by these leaders. All right, be bold, be brave, dare greatly. Hang out with Lisa, change the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.